Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another week on the Pat and Go Show. My name is Matt Lasker. This is my co-host, Fecil Blanco. How's it going, Fecil?
What's going on, Coach? How you doing, man?
Not too much, not too much. Good to see you, man. Been a nice
Yes, sir.
week, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you.
Oh yeah.
So every Sunday, the Pat and Show Go. The Pat and Go Show, I always do that. If you're in the right place, if you want to talk modern youth football, obviously our roots are air raid here, and we love talking air raid. But we really want to welcome in everybody just to talk youth sports. We really just want to make youth football bigger and better, and really make take it to the next level, so we can have all the great participation numbers we all grew up being used to, and getting everyone back into this sport and getting kids filling up this pipeline. So you are in the right place if you come to talk modern youth football. Now, Coach Fecil and I've been begging Coach Fecil to do this show with me for a while, because I need to understand more about the 7-on-7 world. Coach Fecil's been in it for a while, so he's literally the expert tonight. And as far as in my eyes, I've been picking his brain for months now, because we've been really trying to get my 7-on-7 program going. So we're going to have a conversation about that tonight. I'm going to put this link in the bottom for everyone out there that's joining us, so you can call in or ask questions as you want to. Coach Fecil, you know what? Let's bring in our guest as well, because we have a special panel today, and we'll just kind of go around the horn and get everyone introduced. Coach Fecil, you want to introduce Coach Jonathan?
Yes, sir. So, hey, this is one of my dearest friends, Coach Jonathan Grice, one of the smartest dudes I know in the air raid game. Taught me everything. A lot of the stuff that I've learned today has been through this guy, man. So I thought it would have been most appropriate bringing him on the show. Grice has a ton of knowledge at the youth level, middle school and high school level. He's coached it all. Just a few years ago, he was just coaching youth ball, and now he's the OC at a high school in one of the most toughest conferences in all of the state. So he's been a good mentor to me, man. He's been helping me through the process of helping me grow this organization that we have. We went from having one team 3 years ago to 4 teams, and now we're looking on adding 2 more teams later on down the road. So it's just been growing beyond anything that I could ever think of, man. And this dude's just been instrumental with helping us get through all of that. So everybody, this is Coach Grice. Coach Grice says, everybody, trust me, fellas, ask any questions that you want. This dude's an open book. He knows air raid in and out, and he will answer any questions that you have. I see, Coach Eddie Young's in here too, so that's another step.
Coach Young.
He said 2 goats.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man. So good.
Awesome. And Coach Johnson, you want to just do a quick intro on yourself, just so we could hear it from you and see what you're up to?
At all. First of all, Coach Lasker, Coach Fecil, glad both of you had me on. I was always excited to talk air raid, always excited to talk ball whenever I get a chance. A little bit about me, I wasn't a guy that, went on and, played college ball or anything like that. I just, played high school. I grew up actually even in the flex bone system. As I, kind of got out of school and went the corporate route, I just knew, the spirit of ball never left me. And, that kind of led me into meeting, my youth head coach, Coach Greg Paler, who is a guy that really kind of stoked the fires of what became, all of this and what kind of got all this to where it is now. So I coached in Charlotte Pop Warner. Actually, this last year was my 7th year. Yes, I did both at the same time, which was hell, but, it was great, and I couldn't leave those kids. But got the opportunity 3 years ago through my head coach, Coach Jamel Bird, to go on as the receiver coach and JV offensive coordinator at Hopewell High School. And then this past year was actually elevated to the varsity offensive coordinator position. So just blessed in those 2 men. And again, as I tell everyone, the people that have helped me get to where I am, I always make sure to show them love and mention them to everyone so they can know, this is never done by yourself, or it's never done, kind of in a silo. I reach out and I've seen videos and hell, Fecil, I've learned stuff from him that, that he doesn't know. I think sometimes, but just glad to be here. And again, as I tell everyone, we all learn from somebody. And like they said, I'm, more than willing to help anybody, because I am where I am because of the people that I've met.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the sign of a good coach, right? A guy that is willing to learn and willing to listen to other people that maybe, some people are intimidated, when they're around people that know more or have more knowledge. They don't want to, admit that they can't do it, but that's the sign of a good coach in my eyes. If you're willing to learn and do the research and dig in with me, like we'll go to battle anytime, 100%. Exactly. So that's a great story. Cool. And then we got one more person on the panel I want to bring in, Coach Lucci from the Pacific Northwest. He and I have been exchanging, and you guys have seen him on the show before too. But we've been exchanging messages as well. Again, I'm trying to pick everyone's brain on this 7-on-7 thing, and Coach Lucci up in the Northwest has been doing it for a while and at a high level. So, Coach Lucci, reintroduce yourself to the audience and tell us what your kind of 7-on-7 story is, if you don't mind. Coach, you got me?
I think he's on mute.
All right, double mute. There we go. You're off mute now.
Oh, we good?
Yep, good to go.
Oh, no, my daughter turned on the light, and I have a Bluetooth speaker out there, so all the sound went out to the back deck.
Sounds familiar.
So I'm guessing we're to the introduction, but so I'm Coach Lucci,
yeah, exactly.
Up on Oregon coast, North Oregon coast, Tillamook, Oregon. I coach at the middle school out here. One thing I wanted to say too is, thank you guys for bringing me on, both of you guys, Lasker, Fecil. Wanted to touch on one more thing, like Jonathan said, was thank the guys that gave me a chance, because there's plenty of times when I was younger, I thought I knew it all, and people being honest with me and telling me what I don't know. So just stuff like that, recognizing what you know and don't know. And then, we've been doing the 7-on-7 thing for a couple years. We just started our premier athletic club back in July. We made it official, but so we're about 5-6 months going in on that, having our own thing going instead of running with other leagues or other teams.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I can't wait to kind of pick your guys' brain through this whole day. I think it's going to be a fun experiment. For me, I mean, I keep talking about myself, and that's usually how it works out. But honestly, I feel like I have had such a steep learning curve. I feel like I know football. I feel like I know how to coach tackle, I've coached my kids in flag when they were little. But this 7-on-7 world is a different beast, man. And it's been super eye-opening. So I just wanted to bring the smartest 7-on-7 people I know in one room and just go through it from top to bottom. From the inception all the way to winning titles. And Coach Fecil and his group, Game Ready Football. Coach, what is your 7-on-7 group's name? I'm sorry, it's not Game Ready, is it?
No, it's called Unconquered, 7-on-7.
Unconquered. Very cool. Very cool.
Unconquered.
So yeah, I know they do big things out there, and they're winning titles. I see all over Instagram and all his channels, 12U kids throwing it up, having a great time. So, we definitely want to just kind of talk ball. And so you guys out there, keep the comments coming in the chat. We see you guys out there. Mike Hardwick, my dog Gus is sleeping as usual. He sleeps all day long. These big dumb dogs. Actually, he's pretty smart. But I had my little dog on did a little cameo this morning on my quick question to the group, which we don't need to get into that because that was actually that was the most response I've seen on one of my videos probably since the beginning. So that was a hot topic. But anyway, we'll leave that alone for now. So if you guys don't mind, I'd love to just kind of start with kind of the reasons to start a 7-on-7 program. For instance, we did it because I wanted to continue to work on air raid. In my mind, it's a way for me to work on air raid. It's a way for me to, continue teaching and more importantly, not just to continue teaching the kids that I had doing it, because really I only had an 8th grade group and they're gone. So now I got to literally start from scratch with all the young kids. And so it was really going to try to get a head start on the season. And so we wanted to use that as a way to do it. And then obviously like the chance to like go travel to all these different places, like in Vegas, that would be great. Go have that experience with these kids, take them on the road in the off season. Seems like every other sport is done year round. And while I'm very much a coach that preaches, multi-sport athletes don't just do one thing. There's kids that do want to do football year round, and I want to be the avenue for those kids to do it. So that's kind of why we started it. Coach Fecil, why'd you start? When did you start your program, and why did you start your program?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So about 3 years ago, we we had an off season at the middle school at Piedmont. And one of the things I was trying to do and try to figure out is how can I get the kids, immersed in the system and just get reps in the off season. And one of the things that I started looking around was that there were, passing leagues throughout Charlotte, especially in Charlotte. Charlotte's got a big market for just the passing leagues overall. And I found this league, threw the 7th graders in there. The 7th graders liked it. Then I started having the 8th graders hit me up like, Coach, this, y'all are in the passing league. What's up? Let's, can we put a team in? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's put the 8th graders in there. So we had a 7th grade team, had an 8th grade team, just trying to let them just. The biggest thing I wanted to do was just making sure that one, they could, be in the system in the off season. So now when we get to the regular season, as far as tackle, then now we're spending more time on fundamentals versus trying to, install, coach them up and have these kids try to remember all the plays and all the concepts and everything we're trying to teach. So that was an opportunity for us to kind of steal some time and just make sure that we have an opportunity to just get our hands on the kids, making sure that, in the spring, they're still getting their grades up, they're keeping them up and they're working out and they're doing multiple sports. And not only that, but, they're learning the system. They're learning the system. They're learning the concepts. So now, like, as far as middle school, you guys already know, we don't really have much of a preseason. So, we jump right into it. Like we jump into the first game 2.5 weeks after, the tryouts. So, we got a lot of time that we don't have enough time to teach them how to tackle. You got a lot of kids that never played youth ball, and now they're starting to learn how to, tackle for the first time and, try to wear a helmet and all that other stuff. There's so many things that they have to worry about. I was just like, how can we just have an opportunity for us to just get these kids in the off season, let them understand the play. So that's one less thing we have to worry about in the season. So it started off that way. And then it kind of segued into, a lot of these kids, they grew up together and they wanted to stay together. So my 8th graders, they in the 10th grade, and these kids wanted to continue to keep the team together. So I was like, you know what? I talked to one of my quarterbacks' fathers. He was like, look, Coach, we got a good group of kids. Let's just keep them together. Can you coach the 9th grade team too as well? And I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. So kind of turned from 2 teams now into 3 teams. And now, we got kids that's graduating up again. Now we have 4 teams. We have 2 teams of 15U. We have a 12U team. And we have a 14U. And Coach Grice, he stepped in this year, man, and he's been helping us out quite a bit, just, kind of teaching us just offensive stuff and even the defensive side of the ball. So the way that we were running defense was not a way that was conducive to what the kids were going to be learning at the high school level and even college level. So we had to just kind of retool how we started looking at defenses. Because like you said, Coach, you got a lot of guys, man, you got these guys out here running, man under and too high and all that other stuff. And that's not stuff they're going to be running in high school. That's not anything they're going to be running in middle school. So, I found it as an opportunity for us to just kind of keep them immersed in the system. One of the things that was kind of a challenge when we first started out was that I have a flag football brain. Like I played flag football for 10 years competitively when I graduated college. And one of the things I was starting to think to myself, I'm like, okay, the first year was kind of rough because we lost a few games. And I'm like, okay, should I start implementing some of this flag stuff? Or it's a fine line. Do we want to continue to just, have them teach the system? And, the way that the quarterbacks were looking at the defenses, it wasn't going to be what they were going to see in the regular season. So, it was a battle for me. And I kind of went back and forth. And, with Bryce's help, one of the things we started doing, we're like, look, we can still do concepts, but, we can make a couple adjustments here and there. And now the quarterback still understands the concepts, but it's still keeping all of the other defenders honest by, putting the tailback on the line. And now we're running more 5 wide stuff versus some of the stuff with the running backs. We still have running backs in the backfield, but now, sometimes we'll motion them out. Sometimes we give them a little eye candy just for something to distract the safeties, just to kind of keep them still and hold them long enough for us to get to wherever we need to go on the field. So, that was one of the things that we really started just thinking more and more about. And let's not run these flag plays. We're not going to run flag plays. We're going to run our concepts. We're going to run our system. And we have a system now from 12U all the way up to 15U. All the kids run the same system. So now, when my 6th grade quarterback, he gets up to 8th and 9th grade, this stuff is second nature to him. And, we keep things simple, man. We just run 4 or 5 concepts. And Coach Grice, he's all about simplicity, man. Like if you watch his games, they're simple as hell, man. He will run 4 or 5 plays until you stop it, and then he'll go to something else. And if you don't stop it, we're gonna keep running.
Absolutely.
And that's been the fun stuff, man. So, that's been our biggest thing, is just making sure we just get the kids some work, making sure they understand how we want things to run. And then, like, just give them like things that they're going to do in high school. We'll show them, we have huddle film. We, have sessions where they'll take a look at it. We sit down with our quarterbacks and make sure they understand how the concepts are supposed to be ran. And then, even our practice plans are centric around that, just the concepts and fundamentals and all that stuff. So now, like I said, when we get to the regular season, now we don't have to worry about that stuff. We're worrying about, them worrying about trying to tackle and get them fundamentally more sound. So now we can just hit the ground running. And it's made a huge difference. Even the year we got our teeth kicked in that first year, it still paid dividends that next year, because the kids were still, everything was just second nature, man. Like they knew how to read grass. They knew how to sit down. They were making catches. They were confident in what they were doing. And that was the biggest thing for us, is like, they weren't thinking about it. They knew exactly where they needed to be. And that just helped us out so much. And I think that's probably part of most of the success that we've had this far. So it's been good stuff, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I can't wait to get into the defense piece, because I'm like, I not only do I hate what I see out there, but I also like want my defense to do better. I feel like what I'm doing is I feel like there's better things that I could be doing in this scenario. So I'm excited to talk to both you guys about that. Coach Grease, what's been your takeaway? You've coached, you told me you've coached youth for 7 years. You told everyone that, and now you're in high school, and now you're doing the 7-on-7 thing. I mean, what's been your biggest adjustment, kind of coming from that world, coming down to the 7-on-7 world? What do you think has surprised you maybe about coming over here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily say surprise. I mean, it's been great to see, the incredible athletes I think we've seen on both sides of the ball. You look at some of the defenses, but again, I think, Coach Fecil kind of hit it, on the head with me. Like, I'm a slave to the concept regardless of what they're in. Like, I'm very Mike Leach on that. I don't give a shit in what they're in. We're going to run what we're going to run. That's been the same thing, and he knows. I mean, I'll tell everybody, we're going to run 6, we're going to run stick, we're going to run cross, we're going to run shallow. We'll have a back in the backfield. I don't care about that. And it's too many times, it's funny enough, because teams will cover certain things, or we've been killing them with the dig, or we've been killing them, with Y cross, and you'll end up getting the back flaring out and getting a 10-yard game because everybody forgot about them, and or we'll have we'll run stick and everybody's tired of us, because we'll cross the inside H. If you go HYZ and you're 3x1, we'll cross the Y running the stick with the H going out to the flat, and they're so tired of the damn Y catching the stick every time. Now we got our H, who, on the older ages, which, he's some little white kid with a ponytail, and next thing you know, he's got 8 catches for 100 yards. So I love it, because, it's one of those things that is, no matter what athletes they have on there, if we're a slave to the concept and what we're doing, and we go through our progressions, we're fine. That's the big thing, and Coach Fecil knows I am with the quarterbacks. I don't give a shit what they're doing. Like, too many times, and he'll laugh at me, is that, one of the defensive guys will tell me and say, hey, this is what's going on over here. This is what they're doing. I said, I haven't got there yet. I'm looking at the fat middle linebacker in there and telling my quarterback to go through the concepts so we can take advantage of him. I don't know what the secondary is doing, because I know where I want the ball to go. So, that's been the biggest thing that I've tried to kind of bring from my world to to our quarterbacks, because too many times, you get great quarterbacks. I tell everybody, I love asshole quarterbacks, but the problem is that they want to damn do the Pythagorean theorem all the time instead of the concepts. Go left or right, go directional, whatever it is our progression is. Just do that. Somebody's going to be open if you know how to identify.
Yeah, we have two new quarterbacks at the 10U level, 12U level, 14U level. 3 at the 14U level that have never played quarterback in this type of offense, or really anything besides flag. So it's been like that message right there. It's driving me nuts. Like, oh my gosh, we go, we go 3x1 right early Y corner, and it's not changed, right? It's always it's the same progression every time, but somehow they want to go back here and throw a go route to the receiver on the left. I'm like, that's not even an option right now. What do you like?
Well, and that's the biggest misconception. And coaches will hear me yell it all the time. The kids now, the older kids especially, they die laughing, because I'm like, the air raid's a boring offense. Stop thinking that it's everybody's all running these verticals down the field, and we can freaking throwing 5-yard passes. And our kids now have grown to love that, because they understand that that's what this is about. We'll take our shots and we'll do different things. we run the hell out of shallow this weekend, and next thing you know, we're running Z shallow. All of a sudden, our Y runs a corner, and he's butt naked in the back corner by himself. And I'm telling those guys, I don't want to throw jump balls and have you guys have to moss 17 people to make a catch. I want that pass where you're deep because they're tired of these 5-yard passes. And this little white kid catching the ball. It's amazing. Like, we're all going to get the ball. We're all going to be great. We're all going to be successful. But it's that smart of just taking our shots where we can. And that's what the kids are starting to realize. And once they buy in, man, it gets great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Love it. I can't wait to get into the X's and O's with you guys in a minute. Coach Lucci, real quick, let's round out this question. Why did you guys start your program, and what was kind of the driving force behind that?
So, football is not very big out here on the coast. It like when football's over, everybody just goes into the next sport. And everybody out here, they run a lot of wing tee, don't really pass the ball a lot. So we started this. Well, a couple of years ago, I started coaching a 7-on-7 league. I had 3 kids that wanted to do it. Then the next year, I had 5 kids. This year, we had 4 teams, almost 40-something kids do it over 3 years. And just to help develop the kids, man, we've got so many kids so much better at just playing football, man. Yep.
That's perfect. I mean, there's no more true reason to do it than that, right? Just get these kids reps, and let them see these plays, and they're going to get better at football because of it. Yeah. All right, cool. Now, hey guys, next question I wanted to kind of bring up. We have a lot of stuff to go through. We're going to try to keep this to an hour if we can. I want to be conscious of everyone's time, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But when I was trying to figure out, when we started our 7-on-7 program 2-3 months ago, I just assumed everyone did like 14U, 12U, 10U, and that was just it. Or, so you see sometimes 11U and 13U kind of randomly. So that's how we set up our program. I didn't even think about it. Now we're trying to enter into these tournaments, and it's these pylon tournaments, the ones that can go national and you win these big trophies and blah, blah, blah. It's 7th, 8th grade together, 5th, 6th grade together, and it's grouped that way. So kind of like I'm right now in the midst, as we're going to take this Christmas break, we're considering switching to that so we can mirror that and, have these teams practice together and then go play in these tournaments. So when you're putting together your 7-on-7 program, I realize now that you kind of want to pick one, and maybe you want to pick it right from the beginning so you know what you're going to be dealing with, right? Coach Fecil, it sounds like you guys go by the ages. Is there a specific reason why you've chosen that, or do you guys are you guys nimble? You flip back and forth depending on the tournament you're going to be in, or how does that work for you guys?
Uh-oh.
You got the froze.
Yeah, well, I can I guess take, or let's Coach Lucci unless you want to start it.
Hey, so we do ours. We have a 5th, 6th, a 7th, 8th, and then we usually will put together like a 15U, which is basically a freshman team. Yeah. And then a high school team, which is all basically sophomores and above.
Everyone else.
So we do, but we run every team runs the same offense. So if we get into a tournament where it's like a 14U or a 13U, we can combine or bring some kids up from that other younger age group. But we design all our teams to do like a 5th, 6th, a 7th, 8th. And then the 15U in a high school. This last season they only had one high school division. So we had our high school team was basically freshmen and sophomores from guys all over the area that didn't have a squad to run with. We just kind of picked guys up, which worked out nice because they were all guys from my all-state team that just didn't have a place to go. So
love it.
They were able to pick it up pretty quick.
Why did you guys choose to do it in that format? I'm curious. Was it just that was what you guys was always going to do it like that, or were you guys?
Yeah, well, so we do originally. So like this was going to be our first season. We were going to start doing some of the pylon stuff up in Washington. They have tournaments up in Washington.
Exactly. Yeah, and, big one up there.
Pylon's actually doing one next weekend out in Eugene, and we were going to head to that one, but both our quarterbacks are out of town, so we're going to skip out on that one. But mostly to start.
You're doing it to mirror. Mirror the pylon.
Yep.
And it looks like that's like the Shook tournaments now that I'm being introduced to it. They do it that way too. Mm-hmm. Coach Fecil, I don't know if you heard my question, but I was just wondering why you guys set it up per age versus grade, and maybe you guys are nimble enough to kind of switch back and forth as you need. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, there really wasn't any rhyme or reason of doing that. I think what we ended up doing was just doing it by grade. So I had a 7th grade team, 8th grade team, and then we had a 9th grade team. And then basically it just depends on the tournament. Some tournaments do it by grade, some tournaments do it by age. It kind of fit well with us either way. With us being 7th graders, most of those guys are 12U. 8th grade, most of those kids are 14U. So I think what's happening is, and one thing that I have found is that it's easier for them to manage it if it's by grade versus trying to do it by age, because now they're asking for birth certificates and all that other stuff. Now, but there's going to be 15-year-olds that are eighth graders, and what's the fairness of that? So
freaking driving to the tournament and shit.
Yeah. So I don't even deal with that stuff anymore, man. I'm just like, we're gonna play who's in front of us and just be done with it that way, because it's just that piece right there is kind of like AAU basketball. It's like, when they're doing the ages, you got parents that will protest. Like, I actually have a notebook with everybody's birth certificate in there just in case people start asking, because we got a 12-year-old. Especially a 12-year. We got 2 kids that are as big as us, and we get questions about that all the time, and we're we're cheating, and we got 15-year-olds on a 12U team, and I'm like, nope, here's the book right here. So that's just kind of how it worked out.
One more thing that I got 3 linebackers. My 3 linebackers on our 12U team are 6. They're all 6 foot, just long, and I got them sitting right in the middle, right? And I love that, dude. And people are tripping out this weekend. I'm like, dude, sorry, they're 12. Trust me.
But so one more thing that played into our decision was our tackle season. We have a 5th. So the way our tackle season set up is a 5th, 6th grade team, a 7th, 8th grade team. So we were trying to keep those guys together.
Yeah. And that actually fits better with our tackles that way too, to be quite honest. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say what Coach Lucci said, like the fact that everyone runs kind of a top-down, kind of the same system, you're able to really be flexible. And I think that's the biggest key with these different tournaments, these different requirements, it's just being flexible. I mean, even this weekend, we had a couple of our 12U kids who, they really didn't get a challenge in their scrimmage game. They're playing, in the 14U game and, just to get that same, experience. Then you got a couple guys that they play this is the exact same position because it's air raid. We're working them either on the left or the right side. They can step into their exact same role, know what to do. And now, it's just the nuance kind of coaching. Hey, it's in little boy ball anymore. You've got to actually stem and stack and run your routes properly to get open type thing. So, it helps with that to where it's just no matter what the tournament throws at your requirements, everybody's doing the same stuff. So, hell, let's just go play and win.
Yeah, I love it. Good. So really it is, set it up how you want. Just be nimble. Some of these tournaments will be 7, 8, 5, 6, and some of them will be by year, but it typically works out. And if very much so, we all have the same idea. I know for a fact the other few 7-on-7 groups that are in our area that are trying to do what we're doing, they're just hiring anyone that want to coach a team, and they get to run whatever offense they want to run. I 100% agree with you guys. If you're going to do this from scratch and you guys have the bandwidth to do it, one unified offense. Obviously, we all love air raid here, but even if it's not air raid, whatever it is, like that's a great way to be able to plug and play. And that's really cool that you guys are already kind of that deep into it, where you have already like proven that fact out. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, and I've been super lucky, man, because most of the coaches that we have on our staff are actual tackle coaches. Like they coach in high school, they coach in middle school. It's like you said, there's a lot of other backpack coaches and all these other 7-on-7 programs where, those guys, that's all they do is just coach 7-on-7. They're not really, thinking about it from the tackle aspect.
Yeah. Well, when you see that slot receiver line up right next to the quarterback, you like flag coach.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, and we even have a ton. We have a ton of teams now. They got just DBs playing linebackers. Just to cover.
Mm-hmm. Come
so
on, bro.
It's just funny just kind of seeing some of the teams that they just have 5 nickels out there up front and 2 safeties, no linebackers, and we have actual linebackers, like kids who are going to play linebacker for us in the hopefully in the spring, but I don't ever want to get to a point where we're just trying to win 7-on-7 games, because it's counterproductive at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 100%. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, cool. Next topic. So I asked you this, Coach Fecil, and you immediately got me connected with every stinking 7-on-7 group on Facebook that I could imagine. So my question is, where to find, like, once these guys have decided, okay, they're going to do it, where do I freaking start? Where do I start getting information about where the tournaments are and maybe some rule books and kind of just understanding what other people out there are doing without having to go knock on someone's door. Like what you sent me some places on Facebook to go, and we can share that out after the thing. But what else? What other places might you look at for these coaches to get some details and info out there online?
Yeah, I just social media, man. Social media has been big. Like Instagram, there's a ton of 7-on-7 teams. There's a ton of 7-on-7 organizations. I guarantee you, if wherever you are, there's probably a league or tournaments happening in your area. You just need to find it. So Instagram's been big for us. Grice has got me into doing a Twitter thing now. So we're trying to get the kids pumped out that way too as well. So and I didn't realize a lot of people still use Twitter, and that's like where all the football coaches are actually at. I had no idea until a few weeks ago, man. I'm like, damn, everybody still using Twitter. So, but so that's been a huge avenue too, is just kind of building those networks. And now we're just getting hit up all the time from one, either kids trying to get onto the program, or two, people inviting us to tournaments. So if you could create an Instagram page and just get content out there, I guarantee you these tournaments, they'll find you. I mean, they're looking to add teams all the time. So that's huge.
Yep.
For sure. And a ton of other coaches will hit you up. If you have an Instagram, for sure. That's been my thing too. Is like, we don't even put that. Like, I put on as many clips as I can just to have some presence out there. But if you show on Instagram that you have a 12U team, other 12U coaches from around your area will hit you up like, hey, you want to get some work?
Definitely.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then for us, our membership into our local league, one of our neighboring counties has a big league, and you invite different teams from all over, pretty much within probably an hour and a half, couple hour radius. They get teams from, even more than that, because you get teams from Raleigh, which is a 3-hour drive from us here in Charlotte. So that's been helpful, and especially if they see within this league that's pretty dominant within North Carolina that you're performing well there, that naturally puts you as for us one of the best in a certain state. And depending on some of these regional tournaments, when they're looking for the best in each state, they can easily reach out to those guys and say, all right, well, give me your top 2 or 3 teams from there. Then, as you're getting the notoriety for these kids, you start seeing some of the recruiting services, they're now going to check, and people, have that misconception that they don't. But, seeing that as we've been in some of these leagues, a lot of these recruiting services are checking to see some of these, the top kids that are performing there.
Beautiful. Yep.
And then I'm just talking with different coaches just at the tournaments. You can see the quality coaches at tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Just talking to them. And then, like we said, Twitter is huge. And then see something, I'll just send emails. Like, that's how I got hooked up with you. That's how I ended up talking with Fecil, just sending emails. I see Jolly's in the comments too. I mean, that's how I hooked up with that dude, just sending emails, man. A lot of people actually just write back. You get more people that respond than shut you out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love our community. They're very much so, the air raid in particular. But, for the most part, I think coaches want to help other coaches. As long as they're doing it for the right reasons, that they seem to want to help. So I think that's great. Very cool. And so next question, fellas, just kind of moving along. So I'm curious about, tackle season. We kind of get told how much we can practice, right? Like camps 5 days a week for us out here, 2 hours each. And then once the season starts, after the Jamboree, we pare back down to three days a week. How much are you guys practicing with these guys, Fecil? And those practice sounds like it sounds like a real tackle schedule for your practices, or like what is practice like for you guys compared to a tackle season?
For 7-on-7?
Yeah.
So for 7-on-7, it's actually is not too much different. The only difference is we're working with wide receivers, mainly running backs and quarterbacks. So it's most of the stuff we'll do, and we pretty much do a lot of the same stuff in each of the practices. So in the practice, we have indie time, then we go through concepts, then we do routes on air, and sometimes we'll do some fundamental stuff, just getting them catching the balls and letting them catch in traffic, and we'll try to do some things to try to disrupt timing and all that other stuff. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, we're doing practices in that format, and then we'll let them run up and down. So we try to keep it to 90 minutes to 2 hours, and we're only practicing Grace, once or twice a week, maybe.
So it's once a week for each team, but it's for us, it's twice, because you have 4 teams. You may do two at a time. So really, the burden's on us as opposed to them.
Yeah.
Wow. So you can you're one practice a week, maybe two if you're lucky, but really it's one practice a week, and you guys and the kids are able to absorb it and understand what they're doing, right?
That's it, just like that. So, and that's been
Wow.
the biggest thing. Like for us, you don't need a ton of time as long as you're, being useful with the time that you do have during those practices. You can get it all done and get it all taken care of. Especially when you're only talking about, you don't have to worry about form tackling and things of that sort. We're just literally running around, catching a ball, looking at plays, knowing the concepts, and knowing where they need to be, and that's pretty much it.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Richie, how much you guys practicing?
So prior to COVID, we would do 2 days a week, like a Wednesday and a Sunday practice. Now that the COVID hit and there was nothing else going on, we were doing like 3 to 4 days a week just to get the kids out of the house and giving them something to do.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of our younger guys are 5th, 6th, and a majority of our 7th, 8th have never done 7-on-7 before.
Yeah.
So we don't run it much different than we do our tackle practices. Warm-ups, everything are the same. The only thing we don't have is individual time with our line.
Yeah.
And so that was another reason we practiced a little bit more is our linemen didn't have nothing to do. So we put together a lineman team.
Nice.
And let them just go run with the big boy,
Oh man, I wanted to do that so bad this year, man. That would have been fun.
Yeah, it was with the flags, it made it a lot more fun because we had one guy that was a bigger guy. He loved playing running back, and there was a couple times they're like, "Hey, you got to watch that dude. He was like trucking fools,"
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
They got to play positions they never got to play, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's it, man. And that's part of this too, right? Like I have linemen right now playing tight end. Like, will I ever use them as a tight end? Probably not, but shit. I mean, at least he's gonna know how to run wide corner if I ever need him to, right? Like,
well,
you never know.
Exactly.
You never know when he's gonna be in
Coach
high
Fecil
school.
wasn't there one day. It was hilarious. So we took the center from his middle school team, and we were low on bodies that day, and we ended up having a back-to-back, which in our spring league, it was 2 halves, 2 22-minute halves. So, we knew the first game, we were already blowing him out. So we put he wasn't there, so I did it because I didn't care. So we put his center out at the X position, and we ran 4 verts and let him go down the field. And so he's running, throwing up the head like, woo, I'm open. So, they love that. I mean, again, that's a kid. You talk about giving max effort, going forward, man. He loved it.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, too, like that, man. We put them on the team anyway. Those are the glue kids. They keep everything together, and everybody rallies around them, and people love those kids like that, man. So he plays linebacker for us and has been doing well, especially since we went to this new defense that Grace was that helped us with. It's made him such a better player because he's so smart. He knows how to pick up the concepts and things that we were trying to teach him. So it's just made him a better player, man. I mean, even him just playing center, he buys into it. I know he's probably going to be itching to maybe play a little linebacker this year, but it's still cool, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. And yeah, man, let these big boys eat. It's the off season. You don't got to break their heart that time of year, right?
Yeah,
right,
especially
Coach
if they're
Fecil.
younger, you never know where they're going to play as they get older.
Yeah,
that guy might
be
out to a
stretch, right? They stretch. Coach Fecil, let me ask you, and I don't want you to get into anything that you don't feel comfortable talking about. And, we talk about the economics of things. It's, it can get a little sticky, but I do want to ask you because the way we're setting it up, we're charging for this. So I don't run my program through our nonprofit tackle T-Bird. So the tackle organization that I coach and I'm the AD for, it's a nonprofit. We're all volunteers. We do it out of the kindness of our hearts, and we love football. And obviously we want our kids to have a good experience. I started Diablo Football Academy because T-Birds isn't allowed to have anything outside of the regular season. It's not fair to the other teams in our league if we can and they can't, blah, blah, blah. So we created Diablo Football Academy to fill the other 3 quarters of the year for the kids that wanted to play football and understand how to play real football and not just like a flag dad holding up a play and then go run these routes, right? So, but in this scenario, it's a business. It's my time. I probably spend more mental energy on this than my day job. Hopefully, Workday's not watching this right now. And I do spend a lot of physical time there. So there's a cost to be paid, right? And so we charge right now. We charge a monthly fee that kind of like most of these parents are on a reoccurring plan, and we want to give them an offering for their money. So right now it's 2 practices a week. And we have the games when we can find them, right?
Right.
And they pay a fee, a monthly recurring fee for that. Now, So when I talk about practice, can you get it in one practice? Absolutely. Can you get it in two practice? But my whole organization is brand new, so they needed those practices. We actually are thinking about going to 3 because it's not happening as quickly as I thought it would. But again, we're teaching all these kids air raid from day one. Our quarterbacks have never been quarterbacks before, so it's taking a little longer than I thought. But so I'm kind of asking from the business side, because if you guys out there do want to start this up, you got to kind of think about the structure of how you're gonna charge. Maybe you're doing it as a nonprofit and you're just trying to cover your costs. Maybe you're doing it like me, and it's a business to me, and I want to get paid for my time, and we're going to charge a little bit more than a nonprofit would charge. Maybe you could talk to me a little bit about how you guys have that set up. Is it like a monthly fee, or you guys just like have them pay per the tournament that you're going to, or how does the business side kind of, just in general, don't get into details, but how does it look to you or for you guys? Because you guys have an established organization now.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest question and the biggest challenge for a lot of the 7-on-7 organizations. How do you keep the money coming in? So for us, we initially started out as, just the parents paying for their kids. And we've been fortunate enough to, for the most part, I'd say 90-95% of our organization, we just have parents pay just to get them in the league. And that's pretty much it. But now we've gotten to a point where we are operating as a nonprofit. A lot of the coaches, all the coaches that I have, man, they've been gracious enough to, donate their time. Most of the coaches on my staff right now don't have kids in the program, so they're just donating their time. Yeah, awesome. Like even Grace, he puts in so much time, man, and he has not one kid in the program. In fact, he even brings his kid out, and he'll have his daughter in his hand calling plays.
Love it,
man. Yeah, man. So I've been real fortunate with that. But one of the things I've been trying to do is find sponsors. That people will pour money into the kids. So that's been one of the biggest things that I've been trying to work more in is how can I get some corporate sponsors? How can I get people just to chip in anything? And I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of donors that guys I played football with in high school. They know how important this is to the kids. People I went to college with, they year over year they donate money, which is been some of the organizations I'm seeing they charge monthly, especially throughout the season, and that'll help pay for the tournaments that are upcoming and things of that sort. But the biggest thing for us, I try to get at least the gas cover for my especially my coaches when they're in tournaments and things of that sort. We'll charge the parents a little bit more, and at that point we can get a couple of dollars where I could just give stipends to the coaches whenever we can. And usually at the end of the year we'll just kind of see what's left and then try to help compensate them accordingly. Now of course it's not going to be anything close to what they deserve and what they should be getting, but it's something at the end of the day. But yeah, no, I've seen organizations they charge for tryouts, and we did that this year. That actually kind of helped give us some padding, and we had a ton of kids that came out. I mean, we had over 100 kids that tried out for all 4 of the team. So those are just different ways and opportunities, and then just kind of challenge them to do fundraising too. So that was one of the bigger things with COVID being shut down. We didn't have enough time to really, dive into that particular aspect. But next year, that was one of the bigger things that I want to make sure that I put on the 2021 calendar is that we're going to work on fundraising. And then also I'm going to keep trying to find the corporate sponsors just to kind of help, reduce the cost for the kids. Because this stuff, man, a lot of stuff costs money. I mean, we're going tournaments in Atlanta, we're taking 4 teams. Pylon's charging $1,000 per team. That's $4,000. And you got to put these kids up somewhere and all that stuff, man. It costs a lot of money. So the less we can do on the parents and not have that cost on them, the better. Now we've had coaches, we've been chipping in the pockets because we've always have kids that come from less fortunate areas, and they just they're not able to pay the money, but we just try to put them on payment plans if they can't do it. I'm like, hey, give us $10 a week, give us $20 a week, just give us something so we can just kind of see that they're trying to make payments, and they see the product out there. So the parents they try to do whatever they can to keep the kids in the program. So we're not going to kick anybody out, but for the most part, everybody tries to do the right thing, and with the kids that we've had. So we've been fortunate.
Yeah, I mean it's big business, man. I know out here the established guys. I don't know I'm not going to start dropping names of these programs, but the really established ones that have like teams in high school that go for like the national titles and are in that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like $4,000 a month, or not $4,000 a month. It's like $4,000 every 3 months. Like they literally take they chunk it out like that every 3 months for like, and I'm like, holy cow. Like, I understand that's different. High school level, you could probably get a few more things, but I mean, for you guys out there, obviously we're here coaching because the kids, but you know, there's a way to do it to where it makes it worth your time as well. And you know, everyone's got different socioeconomic places where they live, and there's differences everywhere you go, who can do what. But yeah, it's interesting because it is, man, I'd say this is on trajectory to be another AAU type of sport. If it's not already there, it's going there. So there's a lot of money to be spent in this, but you know, also there's ways to make it worth your while as well. So it's something that there's going to be the demand for. These kids love it. Coach Lucci, how are you guys handling the business side right now?
So this season we did just a one fee. That fee included, it basically broke down to $20 per tournament. So, and I have no problem. So we did $140 for 7 tournaments, and that included the uniform. Yeah, and then the soft shell helmets were required. They had to.
Those are expensive too, by the way.
Yeah, so I don't know. We ended up getting them for basically like $48 a piece.
Yep.
And it came with a bag and a mouthpiece, and that was full customization and everything.
Yep.
So what we did is we just sold them to the parents at $50. So we rounded it up $2. And then if they couldn't afford it, so that was on top of the 140. Mm-hmm. And then if they couldn't afford it, it was half that to rent it for the season and then return it.
Oh, cool.
So that way, now in the future, if we do this again, we rent them twice. They've been kind of paid off, and now we have them in stock if somebody needs one down the road type of deal.
That's a real good point, Coach. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's one thing I started doing this year was doing rentals for the helmets, and then after 2 seasons, they pay for themselves. And at that point, most parents, they know their kids are going to grow quickly, so you know they'll be more prone to just renting it for half the price for a season, give it back, and then that way we can use that, and that's been some extra added revenue too. So that's actually a really good point.
Now moving forward, we are looking at doing the monthly stuff, because we're going to do stuff like our Premier Athletic Club. They're going to do hoops. They want to do female basketball, volleyball, softball. So we are going to look at doing that's at our next board meeting. We'll kind of look at see how we want to handle that type of stuff.
Yeah. And this is, it's a great avenue for everybody, right? It doesn't have to just be football. I think, we've seen organizations around that have done multiple things. Once they've figured it out with one sport, now we can kind of replicate that out, right? And there's no shortage of kids. And at least in our area, like there's never going to be a shortage of kids. If you can put something in front of them and the parents can buy in. And if you guys have a brand name, like you guys already do have Fecil and Grice, and then Lucci, you're building. So like, you get that established, championship pedigree, then, parents will love to be a part of it. I love it. All right, cool. So let's talk offense, if you guys don't mind. Okay. So we've all kind of established that we all like the air raid. I can't remember if I was telling you guys on the air or before the air that, my experience, our first real tournament, now it's COVID, so it wasn't like a legit pylon tournament, but someone threw a tournament in Fresno, which is 3 hours away from where we live in San Francisco. And so we drive down there, we spend the night before, go down there, have a dinner party with the kids, like everyone's having a good time. They're in the hotel, running the halls as fast as they can, knocking shit over. And we're just like, man, this is as a dad, I'm like, man, this is what I've waiting for my whole life. Right. We're down there feeling confident. We've had some scrimmages. We're smacking people. No problem. We go out the next morning and lay an egg. We went 0 for 5 and just got like I learned so much in that day. Like, I'm almost glad it happened all at once instead of like on 5 Saturdays, like stretching it out. Cause I got my ass handed to me. Right. And every time I'd go 3x1 early or late, the safety on the concept side would go over behind the corner. And then the safety from the other side would come in the middle of the field. And I got double sticks happening on the backside. So like, that's just dead. I got nothing to do. Like, I got nothing to come back with. I started trying to run concepts back there, but the kids have never done that in practice. I can't ask them to do shit that I've never even taught them. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've tried to make some adjustments on the fly, but I left there going like, fuck that. I text you, Fecil, that next day, like, dude, what are you doing with your concepts to make them work in these damn tournaments? Because that's just not working like tackle in a real tournament. That I was like fired up. I know you're like, dude, was it that bad? I'm like, it was that bad, bro.
Yeah, I felt it, man.
Yeah.
So basically, you showed me some of your plays. By the way, Smash. I mean, we have been fucking killing it with Smash since you showed me that play. I mean, I've heard of Smash before.
Yellow 7, Grace.
You say what?
Yellow 3, yellow 7.
Yeah. You talking about the running back? Yeah. Actually, Arizona ran it with David Johnson back. I think it's Kyler Murray's first year. I loved it. Actually, I put it in with our high school. Like it's wonderful even in tackle.
Yeah, you can't guard at all. Anyway, so long story short, I've now pared down my playbook. We don't even have a 3x1 anymore. We're literally open every time. We put that running back in the slot in the backside, and now, oh yeah, like, fuck that. I'm holding the safeties where they belong. If you don't play me right, then I'm gonna torch your ass. But anyway, so I've made some changes. I put out the playbook last week for my kids, and a lot of the coaches out there on our channel were kind of chiming in on it. And guys, I'm gonna put it on the website this weekend so you guys can download it. Basically, all I did was in our quick game on the backside, I got the slot receiver running a skinny post to attack the middle of the field, and then the backside outside receiver doing a slant. So we're always have an option to attack anywhere on the field all at one time. It wasn't that big of an adjustment, but really for me, I just feel more comfortable being able to just say to the quarterback, run the concept, or still running wide corner. But if I tell you to throw that backside skinny, like that means I've looked at it and that shit's popping open, right? Like at least we have that option now. So Fecil, I'd love to kind of hear your evolution in that. Did you go through a similar thing, or did you kind of come into it kind of knowing already that that you needed some adjustments? What was your mindset going in? I think you might even have some clips for us. So I don't know if you want to get into all that, but
yeah. So basically, when we first started out, I was running the plays exactly how we were doing them in tackle. And one of the things I found, like you were saying, now you start having teams overplaying the safeties, they'll roll them, and these are things they're not doing in tackle. They're not. And the other thing is the linebackers, they're going to their pass. So, I need to try to figure out what are some other ways that we can kind of counteract that and just to keep people honest. So, we still have running backs in the backfield, but, they're just more active in the pass game. We'll have them run choice routes. We'll flare them out the side, or, just like you were just talking about, have them run a vertical up the middle just to, put some stress on that middle linebacker. So, and make them make decisions. So that was the biggest thing that was different for me. And it started opening up everything that we were doing, and we're still running the concepts. And then now what we started doing is running all of the concepts in so many different formations that they can't ever look at it and be like, oh yeah, they're in bunch, they're going to do this. No, we can do everything out of bunch. So, and we typically do. So, most of the time we just run 4 or 5 plays and they work. So we just keep running them. I mean, most of the time we don't even get to, the third page of our playbook, and it's so funny because Grice is like, no man, we're gonna keep kicking their ass with these 4 or 5 plays, and that's it. We don't need
it, baby. We run stick down the field. We have multiple times, multiple weeks at every age level. We have just run stick left, stick right, stick left, stick right down the field. This weekend, we're at the goal line every time. We'd run stick, and instead of the outside guy with a go, we just run with a dig on the outside, outside pylon, run along the back edge. And every time the coaches, do you know what they're running? And can't stop it. And I finally turned to the coach after the 5th time and said, you know what? You can't stop it. This is going to work every time. And he couldn't say anything.
That's Air Raid 101, baby. That's how
it's simplicity, and I think that's the piece. And I know that's been my part. And I can speak of Evolution being the guy to come in here and just really be loud and tell Fecil, hey, I think this, or hey, I think that. But he had a lot of the base stuff that was there. I think the big thing, while I'm an air raid guy, I do and I had an OC that liked a little bit of the the run and shoot aspect of running some choice routes there. And I think that's one of the great things that he does, and actually that we do even in the fall with our high school group with 6, where we're running verticals, but those guys have the option. And again, like you talked about, Coach Lasker, with having smart kids that are able to do that. And again, we're not running a ton of concepts. So if I'm running six can look like so many different concepts with both of those inside guys having the ability to break off their routes or run a post here, or pretty much you're finding grass down the field. So I can call it 17 times and it look like 17 different plays when I'm really just running one thing. Not really hard to go over to practice. You're just doing one play.
Right. I love it.
It's fun, and that's been the big thing. I think I've stepped in and been, pretty, I guess, loud and angry about with Fecil. Just like, hey, man, until they stop it, these are the 2 or 3 things we're doing. So, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I found myself saying that on Smash a couple times this weekend where we were just torching them. I mean, 1-play drives, that shit just pops, man. And why would I call anything else? I mean, yes, do I want to work my offense and my plays? 100%. But right now, I need to build confidence in these kids, and like you said, get to a point where they're just having fun because they're confident, not stressing about me being in their ear about progression is TYF. I told you that already, right? Like, I've said that for 2 months now. Just go have fun and let's torch some people, right? And that's all gonna help. All right, Fecil, I'm gonna put this up for you.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is just a few plays that I'll just run through real quick. And Grace, obviously, of course, as always, just chime in whenever you see it. But as you can see here, like with stick, this is one of our staples. We run this so much. And even the kids know now, like the first play of the game, we're always running stick. Like that's just what we do. And they already go to get lined up and they know what the play is. And it's so funny. Grace is always saying, you already know what the first play is. So just get on the line and run it. So, but yeah, we'll run stick this way. And really, again, we just moving this tailback to the slot. And now he's got this slant. He's looking for it there. But then if he doesn't get it, we don't want him to cross the center of the field. So we have him working up the middle of the field to kind of hold this safety that's over here too. So, and still concept on the right side. We always remind our quarterbacks, hey, where's the concept at? Look at the concept side first. And, we're playing off that. So, you still got your stick, you still got your out, still got the outside guy doing an outside release fly. Sometimes we'll, if that safety starts getting, if he starts peeking, then we'll run that post behind him. So, we still have the ability to tag these plays, throughout the course of the game. So, we want to give them that flexibility. And I think that's part of the challenge that I think a lot of coaches have is given the ability for these kids to make decisions. We run a lot of choice routes and they read grass, they know where to go, and we rep it so much that it's just instinctual at this point. And now they know exactly where to go. Quarterbacks know, or they kind of understand why the decision is being made at the end of the day.
No, and I think you're right. You're right there. And again, I see that, coach is talking about different ways to run stick. I mean, I'm Bubba Gump when it comes to stick, man. I run it's stick every single way. It's definitely my favorite quick game and something I run a lot, even at the high school level. But, this is kind of that play that answers everything. And I tell my guys, and even, when Coach Fecil, has the conversation and as I turn my back to him and talk to the quarterback, if you go to that matchup side and I tell him, you better have a damn good answer when I ask you why. Just because this play, no matter how many guys you throw to the strong side, you're gonna have that there. Why so many times is going to be open right there, just because teams struggle with trading guys off, especially when you talk about 7-on-7 culture, where guys don't really work trading guys, or you have heavy man teams that haven't worked that, and coaches that haven't really communicated how you trade guys off. That F guy, like I told you, that white kid we have that's so amazing. He runs that little under route every single time, and it's amazing that a route gets 8 yards. And you talk about starting the drive and getting a quarterback confidence. You run this and you see that you're getting 7 and 8, and you're going down the field. This play turns into a play that really, in 7-on-7 world, you really only need an average of 6 or 7 plays per down to get a first down. So I'm comfortable running this play, getting that first play, getting you 8, 9, 10 yards, and keeping you on schedule.
Yep,
that's huge.
Yep. And then going to 6, one of my favorite plays. Love running this. We run this at every level. We got 12-year-olds that has choice routes, and our F and our Y, they're actually really talented and they're really smart. So we give them that ability to if we're running 6 to the left, then we'll have our F. He's got to win outside, and we'll have our Y. He'll run inside. He'll and I don't have to dig here too, but he can run a dig. He can work his way back.
Oh, he can stop. Yeah. But I think Coach Lasker, another point here that we can identify is also player profiles here. You like your long range guys as your outside, your L and your R, X and Z, whatever you call them. That Y is a privilege. I think, I want to make sure people understand that. Like the guy playing Y, I can tell you the guys that play Y on every single team we have, and I can tell you why they're amazing. And we've got, again, for the 15U, the 15U grade team, that's our kind of showcase team, if you will. We've got a guy that's 6'2" that runs Y. There's a big body, good speed, very agile. But also on that other 15U team, which is our younger team, the kid's 5'6", if that. Is Jay not even 5'6"?
He might not be.
5'6". But he's one of the best slot Ys that you have. So again, that position's an attitude position. Kids know I want to be Y. I want to be purple. I want to be in that role. And they know, okay, if I'm in that position, I've got to really, it's centered around me. I've got to make sure that I'm that guy. So it's funny to see that with this, but this is our perfect attitude play. We know if the other team had a great play, if one of those backpack coaches is getting too excited, getting happy over there, we know, the kids know, and the quarterback knows, what we're calling next. So, that's the one thing that they love about this, and they get excited. And even with 7-on-7, it's attitude. I know if I call this play, kids are nodding their head, they're getting in that, they're getting adrenaline going. You can see the eyes looking different. We're going to make sure we make a big play here. And even, don't forget, we talk about the tailback. We looked, in our playoff game for our 14U, our running back, who always is asking for touches, had 2 big plays just running this choice route here underneath, because everybody backed up, and you talk about a 10, 15, 20-yard gain he had just off of that. So this is a play we can call so many times in the game and have so many different results.
No, I love that. And hey, that is a huge point, man. The point about personnel and that Y position, and it honestly, my Y was very versatile this last year in tackle, and he was hand in the dirt, or he could play slot. I got lucky, but I can't tell you, coming into this year again, kind of building it from scratch at all these different levels. Y has to be a beast, and he has to know it. He has to be the guy that's going to go attack the ball, going to go up for it, and you got to find the kids that have that mentality. Like you said, he has to just have that mentality. I'm going to go get this ball, because I tried to put on my 12U team, which is probably our best team just by talent wise, overall pound for pound. I tried to put a great slot receiver in there. He had never played tackle before. I thought, when he's running routes in camp, I'm like, this dude's got it. He got, he breaks down right. He stops on a dime. He looks over the proper shoulder. But then as soon as we started seeing some bump and run, the kid just wilted. He's dropped so far so fast, because he just doesn't have the mentality of I got to go get this ball. And so we've been trying so hard to find the mentality guy, right? Obviously,
that's it. Yeah, the height doesn't matter, because our Y's been shoved down. Our Y's been had an elbow put in his chest. I'm just thinking of the games this year where that's the position systematically defenses tried to really attack. And that guy has to be. It's not about the size, like I said. It's about that heart, man. That guy has to be your toughest kid. I mean, hell, I think about one of our kids we put in there. He about cried when he realized how tough it was. I mean, it's a tough position.
It is, and you got to run through traffic as fast as you can and start smashing down people's arms that are trying to grab you. But if you can't, or if you won't, then we'll put you somewhere else, just running sticks or something. But all good. All right, sorry, I didn't want to hijack that conversation. It's such a good point, because especially when you're trying to build something new, it's you got to find the right mentality for that position.
100%.
All right, my new favorite play is cross. So let's see this. This looks cool.
Yeah, so we have about 2 or 3 different ways that we run Y cross. This is one of the ways that we do it now. What we do, we have the outside receiver. He sits, and we run that tailback up the seam, and he tries to just stretch and gets some separation from that safety. So it's more like the way it's drawn here, it looks more like a seam, but we really want him to just kind of fade. Yeah, it's a slot fade. So
I've never called this play though. As many plays as I've called for you, Coach, I've never called this play. I always go the bench version where you got the thing.
Yeah, I think I got that one on here somewhere. Yeah. We've done this too, where we have the tailback here and run wide shallow, where he just motions out the backfield, and then he just runs a little wheel route out there. Still running shallow here in the middle. Y's going down the heels of what would be the defensive line heals, and then we have the F getting behind them linebackers and really trying to stretch and get that ball thrown here on the other hash. So again,
I'll say a couple of things here with it. The big thing I teach our quarterbacks is this progression for us. And again, if that back normally I know some of the ways we've run it where that back will just run a flat to the side of the shallow. To that right side actually. So if we're doing it that way, it's going to be L or R, whichever side has the best leverage. Snapping the ball for our older teams, they're going to peek to see if they like that matchup there as they're taking their drop. By the time they hit their back foot, if they don't like it, they should be coming down to that hash, to that hash where the opposite hash where the Y is going to. As they get to that hash, their eyes then next should go to that F running that cross or whatever. So that's one big thing why I try to teach it, because a lot of linebackers are going to be so focused on the quarterback's eyes because they're not being taught well that you can manipulate a linebacker's positioning and create that necessary space to throw that cross behind them. That's probably one of the biggest plays at our 12U level that we run a lot. Whether the quarterback's shaky and doesn't really have the best arm, that you're talking 3rd and 15, that's going to be a big play for him. So I love calling shallow. I probably call that the most outside of stick.
No doubt. No doubt.
Really?
Especially at the younger ages. And even with Coach Fecil, I think one of the adjustments I'll say, as he talked about adjustments from tackle to 7-on-7, is that cross as opposed to a dig. In the fall, I'm yelling at my kid if he's damn running a cross instead of a dig on shallow. But I do think in 7-on-7, it really, it's a great adjustment, especially at the older ages as the quarterback's arms get stronger, to make sure, these linebackers that are dropping much further than they would in the fall, it's a great adjustment to make sure, hey, we're going to play on your terms. You're going to be a little deeper. We're going to be a little deeper. So it's been a play that, like I said, I annoyingly call this probably 50% of the time.
Yeah, it's a great play. Great play. You guys do 3x1 like drive as well?
We don't. I've done it at the high school level. I love it, but we don't do it with this. I mean, I think anytime you have a play like that with congestion, I'm hesitant with it with 7-on-7 just because people are so big on collision. And the one thing we found, is that these refs are so hot and cold when it comes to calling, accurately calling that stuff. I'll even get away from mesh if I see a referee's not really calling guys that are just grabbing, holding, and pushing, just because I don't want to deal with that throwing off our timing. So it's one of those that, if we know we're going to be in a situation where, you're not going to have a lot of adjustment where linebackers are really walling guys off and being physical, I like the play, but I struggle with calling it a lot here.
Yeah. So Coach Hardwick, we run it as a 3-step. What about you guys? Is shallow a drop back game 3-step for y'all?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 3-step drop. So I'm like I said again, as we're taking that drop, like I said, we're taking our drop by that back foot. QB should already know whether he's going to throw that go outside. That's a pat and go situation. He knows he's taking that drop there. By the time his back foot hits, the ball's releasing. If he sees, as he's taking his drop, that it's not there. And again, at 12U, really they're getting exercise. That's a little secret I don't tell my outside guys. 12U, you get exercise unless your quarterback's got a strong arm. We're really keeping everything in front. Right, yeah, because I'm not going to ask our 11-year-old quarterback to make a 30-yard throw to the bottom of the numbers. Like, that's not what he's here for. So we'll take that drop. We'll look at the outside hash to where that shallow should come. If that backer over our F vacates and follows that cross, we're throwing that shallow immediately. If he stays in that bubble, in that zone, then we're then going to dig.
Beautiful. All right, cool.
All right, then Y corner. This is something that one of our OCs, he calls quite a bit. But we try to give a choice route here to our Y, and he's reading the leverage of the safety. So, like you said, Lasker, you'll have, sometimes you'll have safeties, they'll start overplaying here and starting right over top of the corner just about, and you're going to have that squatting corner. So we'll have that Y, instead of him going out on that corner, then we'll just have him run post to that middle of the field. And a lot of times he's butt naked, man. So, just really just getting him to understand leverage. And these are still the confinements of what we're doing at Piedmont and what we're doing in tackle. We're reading leverage. The quarterback's reading leverage too as well. And he's got a pretty good idea of what that Y should be doing and what decision he should be making. And everything still works.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, we even talk about a stick. I pointed out, our kid that, that would run that flat route, with the F. this is one where, our quarterback will take a quick three here, I call it. Usually we only do kind of a 1 foot, one step rocker step, and then really a quick three and then a traditional drop back three. This will be a kind of a quick three here, but our red really that are running that, running that snag and really sitting in that zone a lot of times is the guy that really gets the love here. And I tell people, because of what we do, different plays we run, everybody gets love based on what's going on. So, I mean, like I said, the play before it's the F, here it's the R. And I think even this weekend, it turned into a 15-yard gain because he's set in the right hole. They're worried about our purple, our Y that's going to go run deep. He sits in the hole, gets about 6-7 yards, and turn this into from a quick game play to really a play that gets a lot of yards.
Oh, this is one of our main plays, and that snag is open every freaking time. I mean, I tell my guys, okay, we want to throw that corner. If there's no color out there in that deep third, like throw that shit. But really, any color out there, just I want you to take the time to look out there because we need the snag to have time to get open. But if you come down to that snag and it's a nice little progression straight down there, literally, like you said, it's 8 yards guaranteed. And in the right situation, you could turn that into, 15 or so or not more. So I do the corner piece. I have not given them the option to run the post automatically without me. Fecil, you said your 12 U's, they do have that choice. Like they get a call on the fly. Huh? They don't even have to
all the way down to 6 too.
Yeah, they get the choice, man. So again, they're just reading leverage. The one thing the biggest thing we had to teach, and one of the things that we did in practice a lot was making a decision and sticking with it and committing with it. Because when we first initially started out, it was a little bit of a bumpy ride because we had kids that would try to do a double move to try to set the safety up and all that stuff. I'm like, no, make a decision.
Oh yeah, and
plant and go. And
our why, and again, it's about personnel. Like I tell you, like I always talk about with our why, like that's the guy that if I got a Gatorade in my damn truck and he's been practicing all day, I can give him my keys, tell him to go get my Gatorade, knowing that he'll lock my doors after and won't drink my Gatorade. That's the trust I need to have in my why.
Right.
Love it. I love it. I'm gonna test somebody and see what happens. Did you drink my shit?
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. Like but that Y's got to have that trust because it's like, and trust me, our Y hit the most fantastic double move I've ever seen in my life. He had the DB looking, wobbly with it, and I still told him, I was like, "Hey, man, that was awesome. Don't do that shit here. Like that's not right." I commended him. I told him it's amazing, and Fecil knows, even though he's a big guy, he's a little, he can be sensitive sometimes with the criticism. I told him I loved it. It's not here.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, just like when you're running the ball, make your cut and go, man. We don't got time for all that extra shit.
Yeah,
that's great.
Exactly.
Right,
So,
you guys run sale.
Oh yeah, run sale. Grice helped me put this in this year. One of the things that we did the last couple of years, we would just have that F run, that speed cut out, usually 12 to 15 yards down the field. But now we're giving them that choice to sit down here, and when you start having safeties overplay and try to get to that out and cut it off, now we're giving them that option to sit down. Now this post, I haven't put that in yet, but that's something that we're going to do in the offseason this year. That option to do that too. So, yeah.
Oh wow! All right.
Exactly.
But no, it's so fun. Yeah. But it's about personnel here. Like I tell people, and even Fecil and I had this fun little kind of anecdote with a kid that we never would thought that would be able to run this. And just I remember a day he had work and couldn't be there at least for our first game, and we're low on numbers, guys tired. I threw a guy in there to run this, and he made did the perfect job of just sitting in grass. And I tell people so much, like it doesn't matter. It matters to an extent the players you have, but just having the intellect to understand the concept of finding grass is the biggest thing to worry about in practice. That's to me, you can teach, you can worry about plays, you can worry about all this other stuff. But if you have a guy that can sit in grass, that is more valuable than gold. I mean, that, and we had a kid, and I just would run this play probably twice, each drive. I would literally bring him in just to run this play and take him out as soon as he would, as soon as he was done, because he knew how to find grass, catch the ball, and he'd give me what I needed. So I love this play. It's great.
Some guys have a feel for it, man. No doubt. Like they do. And if they're great possession receivers, great. Like you don't have to break it. We just need a first down.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's a 12-yard gain in 7-on-7. I don't care. And actually, I was talking junk about this, even though my sale is very similar to this with the post go. the sail route and all that stuff like that. But no, as you guys can see, I mean, the option routes are fun. And I mean, a lot of us do have smart kids, and that's, unless you got the crazy athlete, that's fine. Apparently, we get some of those. That's amazing. But we seem to have a lot more of those All-Americans in the classroom than we do on the field. So, take advantage of that,
Yeah. And a good question, you guys. I mean, before we go on to the next one,
Yep.
We talk about coach, I literally have fine grass baked into everything I freaking say at practice every day. I feel like I even say it during Sutherland show. Every little thing that I can say, I use that phrase. So again, it gets into their brain. But like, do you guys have any like drills or anything that you guys do to kind of make sure that it's beyond that? I mean, we have all of our drills, our air raid drills, it's already kind of baked into it. But you guys doing anything different?
Yeah, so a couple of things I know Coach Fecil does I can think of off the top, and covering whatever. I mean, first is your settling noose, and I think that's your foundational drill. And I think people talk about finding grass, but it's also hey, I know here, boom, settle, chest to the target, looking eyes on the quarterback, just that foundational act of being able to do that. Then from there, a lot of times, and one drill I kind of got at a Glazier clinic probably a few years back, is to, to line up in a formation, give a play, just throw the ball out, and just say, say hut, have the quarterback can say hut, and just have receivers go and just really find holes. I mean, you're running the play, finding grass. You're not worried about a ball. You're not worried about, competition in regards to a ball being present. Doing that as much as saying, all right, I see what the defense is doing. I see where I can find holes and go from there. Another thing I've seen where, you can have the receivers, kind of line up in the, in their position. And I put cones kind of in a triangle position and had, guys kind of go in different spaces and settle as far as fake defenders, and receivers run a certain route into that zone and then sit where they can see the quarterback, but also are between defenders. So I think that's, some things that we've done and some things that we can do if we're having trouble to do that. I don't know if you guys have any other stuff.
So one thing we did, and we found it kind of by mistake, we were working with defense on dropping into their zones. We'd set up the cones from their starting position to where they're supposed to drop into zones. And then once they would drop, we would run our receivers through the zones and have them pass off the receivers, the defenders would. And then we also learned that while doing that, our receivers are learning how to read the zones and the soft spots in them.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, learn the weaknesses. We've always told them, hey, expose the weaknesses, but we found that was a good way to drill it without, being on the whiteboard type stuff.
No, I agree. Right. Coach Fecil's Coach Mike. Coach Fecil bring the boxing glove out with Coach Mike, and he's a military guy, so he's jacked, and he'll have a boxing glove in his hand. So that's been a great deterrent for guys not to over-rub themselves. Shout out to Coach Mike Brown.
Sock him in the chest a couple times. I like it.
Yeah. I promise you, it works.
It works.
Hey, but I like that idea, Coach Grice. Put some cans out there, put something out there, and just tell them, go find me grass, and just see like their innate ability to just understand that concept. I love that. That's a great freaking one. I'm gonna do that. Okay, cool. You still got some more, Coach?
I just got a couple more real quick. Yeah, just sail. Okay. Sail's just another way to do it. Just doing out a bunch. Yeah. And then our goal line, which is pretty much stick.
Unstoppable play.
Yeah, we run it. It's unstoppable. We run this all the time on the goal line, and we still score all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the still stick concept, but we're just looking in the back. If this guy comes down, he's the read guy here on the linebacker.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. We run stick on the goal line, a ton. It's a great goal line play, but these outside receivers are still just running their goes. So this is a great way to kind of even get them in the sight line. I just screenshotted that. I'm stealing that shit for sure.
No, it's windows.
That stick route. If you're backed up, but like on the 5, take that stick route, and he kind of basketball screens.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's all it is. Basketball.
Well, and the beauty of it, the entire time is that so we'll go stick to F, of course to L, and with the back dig, we'll end up hitting that back dig probably 2.5 to 3 seconds into the throw clock, and teams will get so freaking frustrated and angry at that dig thrown behind them that next thing you know, the damn Y is open, again. Yeah. So it's like to the point now we're just pitching and catching to a guy 5 yards in front of us. So it gets hilarious because it's so many times it works, so much. And I mean, teams can't over pursue because then you got the tailback that's going to beat them backside. So it's such the crazy play. And I tell our guys, it's just, especially quarterbacks, like, just be a slave to your progression. That is always my biggest thing. I could care less about what else you want to do. Go Y, F, and L. And if you see Y with a glimpse of being open, you throw the damn ball quickly as you can. And we'll live with it.
Never pass up an open receiver. But yeah, that Y is open 99%. I mean, like you said, Luch, we put our big tight ends down there, and we have a huge. All of our linebackers are basically our tight ends on the goal line,
awesome.
And then our L's, we put them out the outside too, so go throw some jump balls. But yeah, this is awesome. I can't believe I didn't think about that, because those guys are just wasted out there. Might as well get them back, and it's a natural progression right up the line to that guy behind.
That's right.
I love that. Very cool.
Yep.
What else you got, Coach? I want to go to defense too. Yeah, here we go.
This is defense. So this is gold right here. One of the things we had an issue with was defending, and I think this is a pandemic across America, is that we had too many linebackers, corners, defenders, all in general, just staring at the quarterback during plays.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that's happening around them, behind them, in front of them. And I literally took a screenshot one day, and we had a picture, and I got it somewhere, and I'll find it and I'll send it out to you guys. But I took a picture, and it was literally, we had 4 defenders staring at the quarterback. They ran the team that we were playing, they ran all verts. Everybody was behind them, and we had 4 defenders looking at the quarterback, guarding nobody. And it got really quiet for a second. I'm like, look, this is what you guys are doing. We need to change this. And one of the things we did, we had a working session amongst the coaches, and Coach Grice, he got to start thinking about things in a different way. So we went to more of a 2-read zone. So now we're keeping our eyes on players versus looking at the quarterback. And now it's narrowing their focus. And now they're looking at 1 or 2 players versus looking at a zone defender, or if there's 2 people in my zone, who do I take? And it's just really simplified everything. So this is a 2-read zone. And Grice I'm still learning it myself, but this is something that he could probably explain a lot better than I. But we have rules now built in to our defense, and we have a system. And now the defense don't have to look to the sideline to look at the coaches to see what we're going to run. Based on whatever we get, if we get trips, we get a 2x2, get a 3x1, we got bunch. We now have checked for all of those defenses to make sure they know exactly what they need to do, where they need to be, and more importantly, who they need to be looking at now. So, as you can see here, we have our corner, depending on which side it is. So this is our Jeter call. There's a 2x2, running backs on the left side. So we're going Jeter to the left. And what we ended up doing is moving what we call our star defender, which is basically a nickel back. He's on the strong side now. He's going to be on strong side left, strong side right. We're going to have a strength call, and he's going to line up on that strength call every single time, and he's going to line up on that number 2. A lot of the 7-on-7 teams we play, their slot receiver is usually their guy, and we want to
put what we talked about with why. Like, we do the same thing on offense. We think about it all the time. So why not use that information, defensively to help us? Like, that's our why.
So you identify as a coach the strong side. You pick them out, like number 3 is strong. Is that how you guys decide that, or how do you decide that in a tournament if you've never seen them before?
Well, so we'll call strong side into the numbers, to the strength, like you said, the running backs to that side. So that's going to be
the running back. Okay.
Yeah. So you got 3 to that side versus 2. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And again, this is just pattern match 2-read, and I think what Coach Fecil was alluding to is that a lot of the stuff that was done before was just straight spot drop. And, what the issue was a lot of times was that, hey, man, this is great if you're in the NFL. This is great if you have elite guys that are much better than the guys they're playing. But I'm not going to tell a guy just to go to a spot and then look at the quarterback and break on a ball. That's never going to work. And damn sure not when they're 15 you when the ball's coming out there flying. So, again, this is straight just pattern match. And, it's 2-read, which we're all reading to. And if 2 goes vertical, we have the safety taken into that side. I think the biggest piece here is the vertical read line and getting an understanding, because again, this line is different depending on our team. So the vertical read line is just defined as the space beyond the drop of the linebackers. So again, for our 12U, that's probably more of a 6 to 7 yard, determination. And when we talk about that, that's determining whether or not 2 is going vertical. So if the vertical read line's at 7 yards and you got a receiver that, number 2 that's running a 10-yard out, that receiver is deemed to be vertical at that 7-yard point. So that helps guys understand and say, hey, all right, so did 2 really go vertical, or did he break it off there? Because of course, if 2 runs a 5-yard speed out, corner's going to then break and cut under number 2 right there, and safety is going to take anything vertical from 1, which, again, with the concepts we know we're running, 2 goes short, 1's going to go long. If he goes inside in an in call, the backer can then take care of him to that side and break on whatever slant that may happen. But, again, we need to adjust this to ensure guys, one, we're being prepared for the high school level. So, Coach Lasker, you talked about safeties being over top of receivers and playing in weird points. Our biggest thing, just like we're on offense, we're going to make sure guys are understanding football and utilizing this to get better at, the concepts that they're going to see in the future.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you guys don't mind, and excuse my ignorance because I've never played this type of defense before. If you guys don't mind just breaking it down, like each position by position, this is like who they should be looking at and what happens if, after the ball gets snapped. Like, if you guys don't mind, I would love to just.
No, of course. Yeah, and I think this is pretty kind of basic from a standpoint of with cover 2. The corners basically they're playing 5 yards, 5 yards off. The idea for them is to play comfortable enough to where they can see number 2 as well. So again, it's giving them a situation because you think about some of the main concepts here, and so say if you look at a smash, the corner would then get into his break, slow back pedal, able to see number 2. He sees number 2 going vertical. He sees 1 immediately break off on a 5-yard hitch. He's down on number 1. 2 is then reached to that vertical read line, so the safety is going to read him and say, hey, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to follow number 2. Again, if 1 goes and runs that hitch immediately at 5, the safety then now knows number 2's got to go vertical. Or I've got number 2, if he goes vertical, because we know number 1 isn't. So normal cover 2, a great beater for that, as we talked about, is smash. We went ahead and had that conversation. So with a normal cover 2, number 2 might be able to get on that corner a little bit quicker. With it being 2 read, the minute we see number 1 going short, safety now knows pretty much it's man on cover 2 if he goes anywhere near our vertical read line. So he's able to get out to that smash route a lot quicker than if it was traditional spot drop, cover 2, and him just going to his own.
And that's the biggest thing right there is that, when that number 2 is running vertical, now he's locked in on that guy. And now he's taking that away. He doesn't have to worry about anybody else or anybody else coming from any other zone. He's locked in on this guy, and he's covering him up. And anytime quarterbacks see anybody covered up, they don't think that they're open. Now we're covering players up instead of just trying to have, just pockets or areas occupied by defenders.
I love it.
So getting into the inside, so now you have the star and the weak side wheel backer. Their job is to, again, we can't have number 2. This is, and as what I always say to people, again, if they go 4 verts like 6, like we love on the offensive side of the ball, this is man coverage. I mean, at the end of the day, if 1's got to go vertical, this turns into 0. So we have to have those inside guys slow it down enough to where we provide enough time for those safeties to be able to actually truly read this. So that's why their job is to wall number two vertical. Got to slow that down, reroute those receivers just enough so that safeties are then able to get over top of them to be able to cover. And so then, the last piece there is the strong side backer. So the strong side backer has to read number 3. Again, the big thing we like to say, and the buzzword we give to our strong side backer, is that he has all of number 3. That matters in the 7-on-7 world a lot more than probably it matters in the fall, because you see a lot more teams doing things with the backers whenever they go. So if you see the backer run a wheel, which again, we talk about these coverages and how they work, but we also talk about some of the areas in which we've got to, we understand where there's some holes. He runs a wheel, if he runs an angle route, if he runs a seam, like we talked about, that backer has to have all of him. So, there are some adjustments, we can talk about as far as, treating this as an empty 3-by-2 formation. If we're struggling with our backer not being able to keep up with that running back, there are different things we can do, but that is the key that we have to note, is that backer on the strong side, he's already got that starter to help him on that side. So we know he has all of 3. So, we got our backer that we love, our center that's playing linebacker. He knows if he's on that side, hell, I better get to it or make sure, we're good to go. But then we also talk, look on the backside with that wheel backer while he's walling that vertical. We know that, hey, he's got to make an in and in call. That in and in call is going to most likely be, say they're running mesh, that's most likely going to be to that star. So that backer's going to take 3. So again, if we're running mesh and that backer runs a swing, Backer goes outside there. Now it's the star and the will backer that are trading. They're communicating, giving an in call, alerting that star that somebody's coming in. Star's probably doing the same thing. You better be doing the same thing. So now they're looking inside. Because they're not looking at the quarterback, they're looking at who's coming back.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, great. I mean, I've been looking for something because we're just playing. I honestly don't have the bandwidth. I've had a hard time finding coaches, to be honest with you right now. So, my guy that was supposed to be our DC, that's my DC in tackle, just his job got crazy and he couldn't do it. It's just crazy. Obviously 2020 for everyone. And I'm just basically like, either we're doing basically cover 2, Tampa 2, or we're in man. And that's all I've really had the bandwidth to teach. But like you guys are saying, we're getting torched in cover 2. Like there's corner is killing us. And that's my favorite play. And I hate seeing myself get crushed with corner. But that pops against a normal cover 2, right? Like if you run it right. So this kind of stuff is what I'm looking for, where I can systematically teach them this and then they adjust to it. And we have smart enough players. That's one of the things that's great about where I am. Really smart players. They might not be the best, pound for pound athletes. They might not run 4.4s, but they can learn and they can make these kind of adjustments. So I appreciate you guys sharing this. So this is kind of your base defense then?
Yeah. For a 2x2.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have different checks and we don't have to go in depth in all of them, but like we have a 3x2 check. So, we'll run basically a split field. Is Jeter on one side and then Carolina left on the other side. We have some various rules. So just like you saw with Jeter, we're still running that on the right side, but because we have 3 receivers on the left-hand side, we treat this a little differently. So now the safety, he's riding over the number 3. He's got his eyes on 3 and reading 3-2 versus going 2-1 in that previous slide that you've seen. So kind of the same rules. You still passing off. The backers are passing off in, making those calls. The biggest thing here with this nickel, he's running with this guy vertical and out, which is very important. So this guy's got to be your guy, one of your best defenders on the field at all times. So
that's your purple on defense.
Exactly.
And honestly, we do have our star can play some purple. It's a guy that's tough enough on offense to be able to handle that, and a guy that's able to actually run well, and then can play that on defense. So it stars everything. Like I said, on offense it's our Y, on defense it's your star. And I'll take this field again. So the last one was just simple to read. This is actually one of Nick Saban's calls. He'll call it, if you look up, he'll call it stubby, minis. I think special is another term for it. But simply, this is something we run at the high school level. And again, it's a great check against trips. So that's all this is. We knew against trips. We talked about this. So again, as we compared, our Jeter, our 2 read to this, you look at that, if we were to play Jeter to this, the biggest problem that we had is that backer would have to have all of 3. And, we've been in games and situations where, our favorite center turned linebacker for 7-on-7 can't run with 3. And they've got a back that's amazing. And I'm not, I can't yell at that kid for not being athletic enough because he's a center. That's a coach thing. That's not a me thing. So I look stupid yelling at him. So, and even what you'll see, even with 2x2 with the back, if that back is getting vertical, we'll actually use our trips check there just to protect our linebackers. So, what we can do there is to that back side, again, it's the same rules. So, corner, like I tell people, and I've heard Kirby Smart say this because, of course, he's a descendant of Saban and runs this too. Corners barely earn their scholarships in this defense. It's great for a guy that is athletic, that doesn't come to practice a lot. Like shit, man, just take him everywhere you go, man. Man everywhere he goes, Meg. That's all he needs to know. And it's a simple. And again, you'll hear the kids yell at each other when they mess it up because it's like, dude, you got him. It's a simple, just kind of play off of that. And so all you're really doing is reading 2 to 3. So the safety knows, again, if you think of our concepts, you think of Sale, which Sale is probably the number one beater to Carolina to this trips check. Because you've got 2 that'll run his kind of, his whip outside. Star's going to take him again. He's going to, call it in, call C's coming back to him, takes him. That number 3 is going to run a 10-yard right at that vertical read line, run that 10-yard kind of bench route. Safety's knows at the point he sees 2 go in, he has 3 all by himself. It turns into man coverage really quickly. So he knows he has him at the vertical read line. That's a tough route. But again, we know what these guys, Star's reading 2 to 3. He's playing 5 to 6 at a position to where he can see them. The minute someone goes inside, he knows now he has his eyes on number 3. So it's been great for us for teams that run trips. we're offensive guys. We can throw all the concepts. And really that, like I said, I took a day, I brought my work computer, and I went on the board and had Coach Fecil throw every kind of route he could at it. And we just, really diagrammed it out to determine responsibility. So it makes our practice so easy. And again, it creates a self-correction mechanism for the kids. They know, we're able to not yell, say, what happened, or come on, guys, or other useless tools that some coaches can use. It's all right. 3 went out. Why wasn't the star there? 2 went vertical. Why doesn't the star there? Exactly. And again, we talk about, because all of us, like I said, we have All-Americans in the classroom more than we'll have All-Americans on the field. It creates situations now where that smart kid that isn't the most athletic, he actually is going to perform better because now he's confident in knowing what he's supposed to do.
Exactly. Knows exactly what he's supposed to do, not just like make a play on the ball. Like, don't make a play.
Exactly. And now backside, you're still doing the same thing. Again, Jeter to read it, it's our base. So backside, you've got the same rules, the same situation applies there. So, and even with this, and I'll even say, you can play games with this. So, I mean, our biggest defense we'll have is kids not coming out. So, oh shit, we had to play one of our more athletic linebacker. We had to play him at corner for 5-6 plays because the guy's tired. So instead of running Jeter backside, now I can actually run 2-man if I have to, and I can lock that backer on number 2, lock that corner on 1, and let that safety play over top, split field. So we can do that. You can do some different things to just help out. And that's why I tell people, you create a menu, just like we have on offense, create a menu on defense to help guys and put people in position to be successful.
I love it. How much you guys practice defense? That's another question I wonder, because a lot of times it's kind of secondary thought, which it shouldn't be, but do you guys practice defense every day, or is it like every third day, or how often do you guys actually rep stuff out and practice for defense?
Are you talking about for 7-on-7?
Yeah, just 7-on-7. Yeah.
Well, we're only practicing once a week, so we get
exactly
defense in during that time too. So now what?
You do?
Yeah, so we don't have a ton of kids that play both sides of the ball, especially at the older levels. We have them do. They play both sides of the ball, so some of this stuff we have to just split the time. But a lot of stuff is just walkthroughs and just giving them scenarios so they can understand, okay, this just happened, then I know that's got to happen. So we don't work a ton like defensively, as far as like, defensive back drills and things of that sort. We try to do stuff where, we're working 2 things at a time. Like if our offense is working their concepts, then we're throwing kids out there on defense that would be playing defense and let them work on their defense at the same time.
Right. Start knowing who to look at and who to take, who got who on what. I love it. Okay.
Well, and then also too, some of the other stuff we work. And again, you go through those assignments. The bigger piece is, when you deal with teams that have, that run a lot of motion. Like a lot of the makeup, especially for some of our younger teams, a lot of the teams we're playing are going to be, some of your white teams are going to run more compressed sets, they're going to run motion. And, it's great for our kids because we've got to prepare for that because they feel that, that we're more athletic. So they're going to try to confuse us and do a lot of things. So if we're going from a Jeter to a Carolina, we've really got to work on, hey, our star, if they're motioning across the formation from, making a 3-by-2 like that, we don't run our star across. So what we'll actually do is move our star back to play that weak side safety and move our weak side safety is back there over to our strong side, and then that strong side safety will really become the star. So, and then of course that back will bump in. So that's been a key for us, is really just working on the flexibility of moving that around. So guys know, all right, so I don't, as a star, I know my job, but all of the safeties have to be interchangeable. And that's been a key thing for us. And so that's been probably the bigger thing that we worked on. Once you understand the concept of it, throw a few routes at them, just working on motions that affect that. Or 2-by-2, and the running back goes in motion, out motion, and he's going out to become part of the trips. What are we doing, and who's identifying at the snap of the ball, who's 2, who's 3. So those have been some of the bigger keys, I think, to work that have I think have been more value added rather than just working on, just concepts and things like that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm gonna ask you guys for this stuff too, because I really want to implement this.
Man, anytime. Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
No doubt. And then the last one, which is another one of our bases, anytime there's a bunch, we have a bunch check. So, as you can see over here, we're still running Jeter on the backside, but now we have different rules up front. The star, he's automatically jamming, and now he's man everywhere he goes. And then now these 2 guys in the back are being handled by the backer and the cornerback, and basically what we call is FIFO, first in, first out. So whoever first one that comes in, this backer's picking them up, locking man. First one comes out, corners back, locking him in on man, and now safety, he's just got Robert. He's taking and looking, and he's spotting, and if he sees anything that he feels like he can make a play on or drive on, then he's doing that at that point in time.
You know, and even with this here too, you know, because a big thing with everything that we're doing, and you know, I kind of mentioned it, like, you know, I always mention our favorite center playing linebacker, man. We want to protect him. Like, you know, like I said, I can't yell at a kid that's not athletic for being not athletic. You know, that's stupid, you know, to me. Like, as a coach, that's me, not him. So, you know, even with this, you know, if you find that, well, I am a CPA, so looking at the question from Douglas, but you know, even with this, you know, you can have a situation where that safety will play that first in, you know, because you don't want a guy going first in and then everybody's just going vertically. He's going to be in trouble. The safety can't help that. But, you know, if you find that a team's running a lot of stuff inside, we want to make sure that backer's there inside to be able to capture, say, if they're, you know, trying to run mesh out of this or, you know, running shallow or anything of that nature. So, you know, again, these aren't things that are set in stone. If you're playing a tournament and you have an idea of what teams are trying to do, like I always say, it's a menu of things that you want to do and adjustments that you want to make. So it's a great concept for us, and I think it's helped us where kids again are very confident in what they want to do. Confident kids make great defensive players.
Absolutely, man. I love this, man. This is so much knowledge I needed, and on the defensive side, I'm struggling a little bit right now. So that's a beautiful thing. I honestly, if you guys will share this with me, I would appreciate it, because I'm going to put that to work. I just got to start repping it out with the kids. First thing I need to do is learn it. Like I've never seen that before. So I'm going to immerse myself in it. Okay, guys, we are an hour and 43 minutes in. We are way over. Typically this is what happens on this show. We get to talking and start trying to solve all our problems and stuff. You know how we do. But you guys got anything else? I've gotten through my questions. You guys have anything else about 7-on-7 that you want to discuss, or gosh, anything at all? I mean, while we got a few minutes left.
What's the biggest problems that you've ran into starting your organization, the Diablo?
Quite honestly, I think it's the funding, really. Just getting all the startup costs with jerseys, uniforms, equipment, you know, helmets and all that stuff. Now it's just the money is always going to be the biggest driver. So you know, finding kids to play has never been a problem. And if you have a good product, they're going to come. Especially you put it out on social media and all these other avenues. Kids, I'm telling you, man, like they hit our inbox up every single day, just asking, you know, hey, do you have any, you know, additional, you know, room on the team? Can I jump on? They start sending you tape and all that other stuff. So, you know, I've gotten more active with just doing a lot of that stuff on social media. So that's definitely helped out. But, you know, I think just the startup cost has been the biggest thing. But once you get it going, then it's been fun, man. Like, I mean, we're looking at traveling more, you know, especially this year. COVID kind of slowed us down, but, you know, even going into next year, we're going to, you know, continue to do this, and we're getting national recognition. And now, you know, we want to, you know, just continue to just keep getting these kids looks and getting them out there. And one of the other thing is putting them on college visits. You know, we go to these tournaments, you know, let them go, you know, talk to a lot of these college coaches. A lot of college coaches are asking the big time programs, hey, what kids do you have in there? Do you want to have, you know, bring them through and do a college visit? And that gives you opportunities to get some other kids that might not necessarily, you know, be on their radar, but they get that whole D1 or D2 or whatever college that they're going to. They go through the locker rooms. They're doing that, man. So, you know, those are the things that we want to do, is just kind of give them that college experience and let them, you know, have those aspirations to be a college athlete and let them keep working.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, man. You see that more and more, these kids, like even going to the locker room and putting on the unis and stuff. I think that's so cool, man. And you see it everywhere. Yeah. So Josh, we haven't really had the issue with funding. I'm just, you know, bless my lucky stars. Just thank you, God, that we live in a pretty affluent area. So that wasn't the issue with me. For me, it was more like taking the kids. Now, I've pretty much only been coaching tackle. It's trying to mesh the kids that are coming new from flag. And trust me, there are some athletes in flag. Like, these kids are young. They don't know any better. All that's been offered to them is flag. Their parents won't let them do tackle yet. So we're filling that space in between. That's our market, right? Like, come learn real football concepts, plays. We don't even have a playbook really. We just are going to teach you these 6 plays and you're going to be really good at them. And so it's been more, for me, it's been harder to start the program. I wanted to start it with every level. So we have 10U, 12U, 14U, and we have a ton of 8-year-olds out there too that don't really have a team. But so we're trying to be all inclusive. We're trying to expand fast, and we have a waiting list, and we have huge numbers, and we're charging a decent amount. So it's like, everything's lining up. My biggest thing is I can't find coaches. And we've gotten to a point where we're like, we'll pay you. Like, I know I'm paying you more than the high school is paying you. That's for sure.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I know you ain't getting shit from the high school except a stipend. If you have a major role on that team, most of them don't, right? So like, and obviously, you want to be able to coach at the highest level. So I get that. I'm not saying quit your freaking day job to come be a 7-on-7 7th grade coach with me. I'm not saying that, but I'm like, that's been the hardest part, is being able to keep up with demand, to be honest, and find the coaches to slot with these teams. Because right now, if we have a tournament and our 14U plays at the same time as our 10U, I'm calling the plays for all three of those divisions. Like, it's not feasible, right?
That's
like,
how I am though too.
But if we get into a tourney where they play at the same time, we're F. Like, someone else is calling the plays, and that's fine. I trust my staff, but that's not what their thing is, right? That's not what they do at practice. So it would kind of be messed up on my part to expect them to be able to do it in the game. So that, for us, it's been number one, keeping up with coaching, staffing, and then number two, I've said it multiple times, we're like, if this is our origin story. These kids have never run air raid before. They've never seen more than, the flag football dad plays that they've ever seen. So we are literally just like from the ground up trying to teach them. And it's been a learning experience, because 2 practices a week for a couple months. Just this weekend, I feel like we're turning a corner. And we smacked that team with that fucking coach, man. It was amazing. but like,
I've got that thing with that coach.
we literally, I left that field today, and I looked at my son, and I'm like, man, we're turning a corner. We're finally turning a corner right now. So, like, patience, right? Like, everyone we're talking about, we see on our little Facebook channel, all these coaches that's their first year running air raid. It was ugly. It's been a tough season. A lot of them don't want to stick with it. A lot of them didn't stick with it, and they pulled the ripcord and went back to their wing tee halfway through because it was so ugly. And I just have to continue to remind myself, like, it's a process, right? Like, don't freak out because it's ugly for the first few months. But that's really been my biggest challenge so far. And there's just a lot to learn. I mean, there really is. And that's why I wanted to do this show, because there's so many aspects that it's different than tackle, and it's a whole different world.
No, I agree. I think you hit on a great point there, Coach. I mean, just it being a lot to learn, and guys, and I guess as a guy who, is an air raid guy, I mean, really stick with it. But the biggest thing is just practice and progression. I think that's kind of the biggest thing I want to harp on. The guys are out there, whether you're thinking about it, whether you're doing it, whether like you said, you're at a point where you're struggling with it, make sure guys really understand what's going on. And like I tell Coach Fecil, like, I don't care. Like, if we're running 2 plays, we're running 2 plays. Like, I want to make sure that I don't give a damn what they're in. I don't care if they have like the safety over top of the receiver. We've seen some crazy shit, and he'll tell he's seen it. We know, but we're gonna run stick. We're gonna run shallow. We're gonna run 6. We're gonna run what we do, and the kids have the kids build that confidence in it, because they know at the end of the day, I'm going to run this play and it's going to work, because it's worked 99 other times. And,
Right.
Now it gets to the point where Coach Fecil will be laughing in the background because, one of the kids will be like, all right, black 5, all right, goal line, we're running green 2. They can call the play I'm about to call before I do it. That's when I know we have hit that point. And with every level, when they know we scored a touchdown, this is the next play we're going to call. And that's the point.
Yeah, I love that. That is so cool, guys. And that's where we all need to get to. So beautiful. Anyone else got anything they want to talk about before we sign off? You good? All right, cool. So yeah, Coach Fecil, if you and Grice, if you guys will be gracious enough to send me those defensive things and maybe a little breakdown. I mean, you had the notes in there, so it's probably all I need to really understand who takes what, but who takes who, I should say, on defense. I'd love to kind of get cracking on that. If obviously you guys out there on the channel, obviously we got some emails that have been dropped in there. People want those defensive slides. They want the offensive playbooks. We'll get them out to you guys. Let's keep chatting in here. And then obviously in the Facebook group, we'll repost this video and we can start the conversation there and make sure everyone gets what they need. But I personally want to thank all three of you guys for doing this for me. I know it sounds like people are getting some value out there and in the audience, but I honestly, guys, like, this has been such a learning experience for me, and I feel like I'm becoming a better coach, right? I've never had to worry about two high safeties, and now I got to. And in high school, like, I hope to coach high school one day, and I'll have to worry about it there, right? So, it's not exactly what we'll see next tackle season for my 7th grade team, but it's making me a better coach. So I appreciate you guys coming on here and sharing your knowledge with me, for sure.
Hey, I got one more question for you guys. So how many of you guys are on the field with the offensive players, like in the huddle? Do you guys go out there with them?
We've only had scrimmages, so I have been, yeah.
I'm about to say for 7-on-7, like club wise, yes. For high school, I don't. But I think it really, for me, and I'd make this point, and Coach Fecil knows, I don't tell them who to throw the damn ball to.
Right.
I don't, and I will judge, I will shame any coach that does, if you're truly running this program to get kids better. I will openly say it. And again, we've got one of the teams we play has a starting quarterback who's freaking, he played in college ball, Power 5. I mean, great kid, could have played in the league, all stuff like that. And I talk shit to him about that too. I'm like, I know you're great, but hey, you can't play anymore. Your eligibility's ran out. But that's the thing for me. So yeah, I'll get out there with him. But again, it's like, hey, you should have done this, and that. We'll talk about it later, kind of thing.
Yeah. So we do all our hand signals during our season. We do all hand signals to call in plays. So we threw that into our 7-on-7 season, and it fucking caught so many people off guard because we're just going no huddle, and we're running down the field just quick.
Yep. And that's what we're doing too. Most of the time, unless we're trying to, milk the clock, or if we're trying to do like emphasize a particular, play or concept, or hey, look at this. Most of the time, we're no huddle too, so we don't really huddle up often because everybody's got wristbands, everybody knows where to go, and just kind of take a
tempo. Gives you the ability to take a big, strong guy and drag him to the deep end of the pool and drown him.
Love it.
Sorry, I had to get my little Joe Salas drop in there when we talk tempo.
Exactly it.
No doubt.
Cool, man. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, fellas. I can't thank you enough. I had such a fun time tonight talking with you guys, and hopefully this has been valuable for all you guys out there as well, thinking about running a 7-on-7 program, or maybe you're running one and you wanted to get some different ideas. So let's keep the conversation going on Facebook, guys. Obviously, anything that we do, any of these guys do on their Facebooks or their Twitter. I know, Coach, you're big on Twitter, so if you want to drop your Twitter handle, we can get some of these guys to follow you because you have a lot of funny stuff out there. You crack me up all the time on Twitter, bro. So keep that stuff up too.
What a king right there.
I know.
At Coach J Grice. So at Coach J Grice. Guys, man, like I tell everybody, I've learned everything from people. I hit up and half of them ignore me, half of them respond back. Hit me up. I'll try to respond as much as I can, man. I'm just about growing the game, growing area.
Yes, sir. Wealth of knowledge there. So again, thank you, everybody. All you guys out there, keep spreading the ball around. Keep telling other coaches about this channel. We want to just make sure, again, more middle school and youth coaches know that they can throw the ball. Even if they don't know the offense, we got a place where they can learn it pretty quickly and give you all the plays and the plans and all that stuff. We have all the resources so we can help grow these participation numbers back to where they belong. All right? So keep it up, coaches. Thank you guys for joining us. Coach Fecil, my co-host, as always, you're the man. Thank you for driving this conversation, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Later.
All right, see you guys.
All right.